All right, so welcome to tonight. I'm just going to be talking about some lessons from the hot seat, the last few hot seats that I had. I just want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. I want to sincerely thank you. I know it's busy this time of year, and for those of you watching the recording, it takes time out of your busy day to be here. Uh, so I'm excited to share what I learned during my last hot seat, the breakthroughs, the struggles, and the mindset shifts that changed everything.
Mhm.
It's personal, raw, and hopefully useful to anyone struggling with discipline, psychology, and structure in their trading. Over the next half hour-ish, I'm going to tell the story of how I went from chaotic, willy-nilly trader to hitting my consistent Nick goals. I'll highlight the mindset shifts and the structural techniques that is turning my trading around. By the end, you'll see how trading with the right mindset and structure, and by adding trades at the right spots, can stack the odds unfairly in your favor. Let's dive in. So for my last hot seat session, we talked about how news trumps market structure. I was adding very willy-nilly when the news was running against me, and it was because I was confusing what the market structure was giving during news announcements to regular trading. I'm getting stricter on my rules, still something I'm working on right now. I'm drawing lots on my charts, uh, often right on where it's going, but not always how it gets there. And now I'm always asking, what's the plan if the market moves against me and plan accordingly? So I have my A's and my B continuing setups and recognizing 50 of the last move. And that's really turning my trading around. My initial trading years. Let me paint a picture of old Nick. In my first year, I was all over the place. I started off trading by the seat of my pants, and I'd enter trades with no plan, chasing anything that moved. I learned about basic market structure without really understanding my setups. I jumped in between indicators and other various methods, and I started to see how the actual moves of the market came about. Then I became impulsive, overtrading, emotionally driven, trading without structure. So what we call our willy-nilly entries. I felt out of control and inconsistent. Now I'm becoming a structured and patient trader, waiting for a clear plan, confirmations, and having emotional control. I'm using checklists, I'm checking my rules, and I'm staying disciplined. I didn't realize how impulsive I actually was. Boredom is worse than anything. That's a quote I had from one of my first hot seats. Um, my ADHD affects my boredom. It often led to impulsive clicks. So I created the action of the market. I had impulsive trades that quickly went against me, turning my boredom into panic. And I mean, just look at the background image here. The trades are everywhere. And I'm learning that my brain was chasing a dopamine hit. My ADHD made me crave excitement. And if the market was slow, I'd force a trade for a thrill. Uh, of course, no, most of the time, those trades end badly. You can see in my little example here. Back then, I didn't even know what structure truly meant. Support resistance, trends, market character. It was all secondary to the rush. I had no consistency. I had no strategy or routine. And it's like driving a car in Grand Theft Auto without paying attention to the curbs. It's fun until you crash. The outcome, some lucky wins, which only reinforced the bad habits, but a lot of devastating losses. I was stressed out, doubting myself, and wondering if I was cut out for trading. You can hear it in my voice. Stress and frustration were consistent. Recently, I'm getting much better. I'm learning to annotate what I was feeling during those trading sessions on my charts. I'm noticing changes of character in the market and what that means for my trading. I'm planning my setups better with if this, then that procedures. I'm also factoring in my emotions, getting into my body and accepting them while still practicing with good PTP. And here's an example of my trading journal that I use every day before I start. I check off my structural test, what my evidences are. I write my entry logic, my risk sizing, and then I actually am putting in emotions. What was I feeling? Was I relaxed or was it, something driving me? A strong emotion. The key here is I'm not the same trader anymore. I'm learning to identify market structure. So taking that old image that Dave and I talked about with my willy-nilly trades and then being able to pull it apart. What did I do good? What did I not do good? Where would a good exit have been if I was too heavy? The new approach, structure, mindset, and control. The biggest change in New Nick is that every trade has a purpose and a structure behind it. For example, I only trade good P2P areas where I have 2 to 3 pieces of evidence to enter. If my checklist says don't trade, I simply don't trade. This is hard right now, sitting on my hands when it feels difficult, but it's paying off. If I spot a potential reversal setup, I'll check, do I have at least 3 green lights? If I only see confluence like this, I'll pull the trigger. So this helps me that I'm not trading on just a single hunch. I need my 2 to 3 confirmations. Planning exits, another game changer. I decide my exit and when I enter. I set both a target based off of the structure. And if the market has run against my position, I close out the lowest probability trades at key areas. And if my risk is too great or if I'm too heavy, I take action and close my setup. The big thing here is I know the turn is just around the corner and I can take advantage of it. So routine is discipline. I built a daily trading routine, my pre-markup prep that I showed you, key levels, my OSRs, news checks. It keeps me grounded and not reactive. My system guides my strategy. And emotional management. That's not to say I don't feel emotions. I do, and quite strongly. But now I'm learning ways to manage them. If I catch myself getting bored, instead of creating a trade for thrills, I remind myself every trade is important, as if my income depended on the trade. It snaps me back into discipline. I only want high quality trades. Sometimes I'll even get up and walk away for a few minutes to reset if nothing's happening, rather than force a trade, which is what I typically do. Trading clarity and discipline. Dave and I had a very reflective coaching session. We focused on improving trading behavior by understanding my psychological tendencies, especially those related to impulsivity and emotional triggers. The conversation combined with trading psychology and a tactical review of trades, explore how my behavioral patterns affect my execution and my outcome. My impulsive trade decisions are attributed to thrill-seeking behavior, and my boredom triggers poor trades just to do something or get that dopamine hit. And I think there's probably a few of you here that can relate to that. If you're anything like me, recognize this link is the first step to controlling it. And bad trades equals a domino effect. One impulsive trade often leads to another. I'd go willy-nilly once, and then I keep reacting. Uh-oh, that was a bad entry. Well, maybe I'll add another trade to fix it. Now I'm in too deep. One bad impulse could spiral into overtrading and a big mess. So, learning from the hot seat, I confronted 5 universal trading behaviors that hurt my performance. These are common pitfalls that most of us traders face. Impulsive entries, it's the itchy trigger finger syndrome. I can't sit on my hands. FOMO, we all know this one. Seeing a big move and thinking, I have to get in now or never, even if it's too late. Freezing, the opposite of impulse. When it's time to act, I choke. It often happens in fast, newsy markets or when uncertainty peaks, like our winter markets right now. Overanalysis, called paralysis analysis. I overthink so much that I either miss the trade or muddle my execution. And early scaling. This one might be less talked about as a behavior, but it was huge for me. It's my position management mistakes. I added trades way too early, just a break of a small, consolidation out of panic, and sometimes scaling out of trades way too soon or just closing out. Basically, mishandling trade sizes due to my emotions. I'm guilty of all 5, but I'm recognizing these behaviors. This is my first step. Now, not to talk about all myself here, but not everyone in this community impulsively adds because of boredom or lack of patience. Some do it because of insecurity. I want to get in and out fast. Some do it because of perfectionism or the FOMO that we discussed earlier. Or some you might trade and enter trades really quickly because you start out light in your career, and then like me, you've found that you tend to go heavy. So one of the questions I'd like to ask you all is, what is your impulsivity? What drives your first trade? If you understand it, if you understand the emotion, and if it's one of those 5, you can control it. So to curb my behavior, in realizing my ADHD impulses, I notice that if I get bored or low energy, I can flip on Bubba and walk away. It saves me from impulsively adding trades when the market is just boring to me. Another insight was when Dave mentioned if I was forced to live on my trading income, if I made a living trading, how would that affect my trades? Well, then every trade would be important. It's the emotion we need to create. Get away from the comfort of trading and comfort of a demo account. The frustration we feel in our losses is heightened in a real account because of the psychological loss of real money. There's a consequence, which is really good for people with brains like mine. The bottom line is a professional trader knows how taking a loss affects their psychology. Do you give up? Do you fight through? And how much fight do you have in before giving up? How often have we been there when the market runs against us, giving up right at the time where it starts to turn? Knowing what you're feeling will make the difference in your trading when the times get tough. And then paying attention to the candles helps with my mentality. It can also cause hyperfocus, and sometimes I still miss placing trades in the larger picture. So to help that, I put lines and talk through where I enter and where I'm going to add one or two trades. If it's stalling on my exit, take it, and no frustration taking it. We can always get back in. And I'm also creating a game out of following market structure. If I have perfect P2P, I want to see how many of these trades I can put in one session. Let's create a game of this because that's what my brain craves. So structure, timing, and FOMO. Adding in the right spots, essentially how much room we have to profit, uh, and how much does the trade have compared to the relative risk. A good P2P trade means that we have at least 3 pips before hitting an action point or target. A bad P2P trade is one that's taken in a cramped space. For example, entering long below a huge resistance with very little upside and lots of downside risk. I'll show you this later. But I now avoid P2P trades, bad low P2P trades. If I find myself in a bad P2P trade inadvertently or on purpose, I exit quickly rather than adding to it. Adding to it is one of the biggest mistakes that I make. Ensuring excellent PTP before adding trades is what keeps me from getting too heavy when the market's in a dead zone. Practice kills FOMO. So when I commit to only taking the cleanest, most obvious moves, FOMO disappears and my confidence skyrockets. Okay, one bad PTP. In this example, I added 2 trades on the break of some small consolidation. The market was moving really slow, and I could feel my impatience creep in. I thought that because price broke down ever so slightly below the range, right here, I could get in. But as the trade moved back up, Dave helped me recognize that I added too soon, and I also hadn't paid attention to my 0, 1, 2, 3s on the bottom. To make matters worse, when price came back up to the top of the range, right here, I didn't add enough. I only added 1 trade and not 2 to bring my break even up for my nickel. The key takeaway is adding in enough to get our nickel, that is taking advantage of the market. Trusting the market structure, having patience to add in trades at action points, and on a pullback after it breaks out, not just because of broken area here like I did. There we go. Too far. Market character versus market structure. This was a big takeaway for me. The market character refers to the current environment or personality of the market. Trending versus ranging, volatile versus calm, news-driven versus normal. I always assess what is the market character now and adjust my entries to match that character. This concept was a step of maturity for me in my trading. Early on, I entered trades and waited for the larger move, and that was very evident when I was trading in this chart here. I was waiting for something big to move the market. I was getting very impatient in the middle. For now, I pay attention to my price cycles and my 0, 1, 2, 3s, knowing the current conditions of the market. I don't have to expect the breakout right away. If I waited, it would take forever to hit goal. I want to take our candy within the market conditions, within the market structure with good PTP. And recognizing this, we have about one or two changes of structure during our trading session. But I want us all to really, when we start trade, take a look at our price cycles. Make sure we have those 2 to 3 pips. Make sure we're checking what the market's doing right now. Uh, a good analogy Dave taught me was market structure is like gravity versus weather, which is character. So market structure, which is our levels, our trends, are like gravity. It's always there, and we trust in it while we, well, go for a walk. Market character, on the other hand, is like weather. It can be sunny, stormy, or calm, and you have to dress or trade accordingly. You always respect gravity, which is the structure of the market, because it's the law, but you adapt to the weather or the character to thrive. Let's go. There we go. So, takeaway from market structure. So, here's an example trade I took during my hot seat class. I hope you guys can see it. It's a little bit small on my screen. I'm looking for some audience participation here on this one. So, get your pens ready. Based on where we are on the chart, what is our market structure? Yeah, we're in a range. Great. And as you can see, that's awesome. Thanks for marking on the screen. So as you can see, I placed a buy in this range. Was that the correct spot to place a buy? Why or why not? Was that a good spot to place a buy or a bad spot, you think? It was okay. Thanks, Capella. Anybody else?
Well, I guess if you think about risk to reward in a range, it seems as if it's at 50. So whether you buy or sell your first trade,
Nice. So it is the first trade. And
yeah.
so usually with the first trade, we can see what happens. But
Yeah.
my piece of evidence that I was looking at, come on, marker, where are you? Is it
Okay,
just,
I'm going to say it's a bad spot.
why do you say that?
Because you're buying at I mean, I can't see it really clearly, but it looks like you're buying at the top of the range. If you break the range down into this like last segment, you're buying at the top of the range, and so you're buying in anticipation of or hopes of a breakout. But if the breakout doesn't come, then this is bad PTP.
If you're saying this is alone you're looking at as a range or you're looking at the entire, what are you looking at as a range?
I'm looking at like the last, like however many bars that is. No,
Yeah, like,
not there. I'm looking at, so
no,
I'm not
Well,
looking
this
at
is a
that.
range. Well, what
Yeah,
was
so
drawn here?
I'm looking at the smaller range at the end. And if we're just looking at the smaller range, he's buying at the top of it, which I would say is unless unless you're banking on the breakout above that, then that's bad PTP.
exact.
I'm looking at this as a range.
No, Diane, I like that answer because I was putting on a trade in anticipation. I was bored. Well,
Yeah.
to be kinder to myself, what I was looking at was it had just broken ever so slightly above here. Now, a more correct way would have been to wait for a breakout and a pullback before I can enter off that to have good PTP. But there's another key ingredient here, according to market structure, that I missed. It's an OSR. I placed a trade on a break or expecting a move up without waiting for a pullback and confirmation, just like Diane mentioned. So for market structure, always respect the OSR.
So we're, but you didn't show us that.
It was a trick question, I guess. There's no data over here. So this is an OSR. So we want to trade in the direction of an OSR for this example. I guess I could have shown a longer term time frame. You're right. That was unfair. But I want to make the point of I placed a willy-nilly trade with bad PTP. It didn't confirm, and then the market ended up going into an OSR. If
Right.
I had proper PTP, I wouldn't have entered there. My first buy here would have been okay because if the market went against me, I could make sure that I stack in on the equal distant move to go back instead of having this willy-nilly trade be messing with my break even. Now I have to add heavy to get out
Or take off that.
or take it off, right? Right. Oops, what happened here? Okay. And then I didn't add enough trades at the measured move. It was a two price cycle move as shown on the chart here, and I didn't get enough on there to exit. It should come back to the 50. So this is taking advantage of the market. No willy-nilly trade, respecting our market structure.
Awesome. And enough to get it back to the 50.
Yes, thank you. All right.
Welcome, sir.
Oop. Sorry, I lost my space in my notes. All right. I think we talked all about that. There we go. Slide 20. You can know I'm reading my notes. Volatile news trading and mindset. So in trading the news, I noticed that I have my impulses of fight, flight, or freeze because I didn't quite have a game plan. This is perhaps one of my biggest works in progress, sorry. My emotions tend to make me freeze during big news because I often don't see my exit. But I am learning, and I'll show you what I learned from my hot seat session. What I can say now is I acknowledge the feelings I have during news events and practice in a simulation account. Reading stall candles. We go through this a lot in class already. As a strategic trader, we identify really fast stall patterns and reversal signals. A reactive trader can sometimes make a news trade go horribly wrong. Managing recovery with logic. So if I enter early, keep position size low so I can withstand the news move. Or if I'm late, like I was, and I'll show you in this next example, it's an emotional cue. We don't chase the market. So if I'm going to be logical about this, keep our position size low, look for our good entries, and don't chase the market. And growth equals mindset and practice. True growth happens when psychology and practice align. Practice in your simulator. So have a news game plan. Is it a pump and dump or is it a sideways wiki news where we don't know where it's going? If it's a pump and dump, on the release, you can fade it accordingly to the move, adding to get an exit at the 50%. Or is it sideways? It could be whippy. Your execution really needs to be on point for this one. You could see an initial move followed by a decision move, and I'll explain that in a minute. Joseph says, chasing the market is like a dog chasing a tire. Sooner or later, you get run over. And it's amazing how often I think it'll work out every time I try. Okay, so let's keep going. So execution in a whippy market. So let's see here. I lost my spot again. That's okay. We'll talk through it. Um, so the initial move aggression. So I'm going to show you an example of this, but on the initial strong move, add your positions as near to the end of the candle as possible. Aim for your target to be 50% retracement of the initial break. This requires extremely quick execution. 2, monitor and adjust. Vigilantly watch price action to confirm continuation. If the market fails to extend in our favor, close those initial trades promptly to mitigate potential losses, as it could move farther against us. And re-entry. Once the market clearly picks a direction in news, look for an optimal entry point as price returns to the 50% level of this new confirm move. This is the higher probability setup instead of adding trades willy-nilly. And counter trend caution. Only consider entering counter trend trades after the market has established a clear sideways consolidation. Premature counter trend entries in a whippy market are extremely high risk. It could just run forever. Thanks, Joseph. So let's see here. So on this first move, we set up we've decided to, I'm just looking for my pen, sorry. So we decided to do a straddle event on this news. And what happened was on the news activating, this first initial candle blooped down and I froze. Uh, the right play was to, when it came down here, add as many trades as I needed to bring it back to the 50% of the breakout right here. And then, sorry, if I had a sell on, close out. That's rule number one. Number two was add enough buys to get back to the 50%. The second move that happened, which I annotated on this slide already, and I'll erase my markings here, was that the second move, which I annotated, which is where I started to buy up here. I started to buy at the top of this move. I started to sell into it. And what happened was when the market picked this initial direction, it moved and now it made this the KPI of the day. It made this 50% of the breakout move our KPI. And right now we have no idea where it's going. We start to see a few wicks on the top, but this could run all day. So it's very risky to counter trend this move. So we want to be quick in our first move. And then our second move we want to watch. So if we stayed in our buys down here, this would have been a really nice move. Another takeaway that I had, oops, let's erase clear drawings. Another takeaway that I had was recognizing I thought during the news move that I was measuring this and this was my 50% retrace. But what Dave pointed out is no, we're looking for the break from the breakout up to here. This now becomes our 50% move. So just a couple of little nuances that help me. Maybe it'll help you too. So now the news created 50% from the breakout. Did that already, but the breakout above consolidation, and now we're looking for the 50% of the KPI. So I was adding trades in the no ad zone, and we should be looking, we don't know how far it's going to go, but when it comes back, we have a confirmation down to 50%. We can enter our buys, that would be good PTP, or if it breaks this 50%, we're looking for 100% retracement, so we can start to look at sells. But right now we have no information on this. So this becomes our KPI. All right. So the market, so this is a few steps forward, but so the market came back. We had some wicks up here, came back perfectly to our 50 KPI, and I failed to buy. I got frozen again. So it's something I'm working on. But if I had added trades up here, it would have been really difficult to manage my trades. So on this initial move, if I missed it, wait for that 50% and see what the market's going to do. Now we have a better probability of picking buys because the market picked a direction, pulled back, and continued. All right. So the top 3 game-changing insights. So bringing this all together. Adding enough trades makes it unfair. That is sometimes hard to wait for. You're right, Joseph. It's still a work in progress for me. But now I have a bit of a roadmap when we have a wiki market. And so I wanted to make sure that I presented this to the group so you have a better understanding of, okay, when I'm not sure the direction it's going to move in, I'm going to wait for that initial news move, and then we're going to look for that market follow through. That was kind of what I wanted to get through in that one and how we took advantage of it. Top 3 game-changing insights. So OSRs give my key levels, my support and resistance. PTP ensures I pick battles with good reward. And market character sets my overall approach, aggressive or cautious, trend versus range. It directly translates into my trading decisions every day. When I master scaling in the right spots with proper PTP, you create a statistical edge. It becomes unfair in my favor. Seeing the setup does not equal setup being ready. This was my biggest aha moment. Recognizing a potential trade forming is completely different from the trade actually being ready to execute. Patience bridges that gap. And I don't need every move. Chasing every opportunity dilutes my edge and drains my capital. You only need the cleanest, highest probability setups, and those alone, those are enough to thrive. Those are enough to grow our accounts. So, best of all, I'm learning to trade with my emotions, but trust myself, trusting my structure and process. I've removed a lot of anxiety from my trading, and it's starting to become enjoyable again. So, final thoughts. By eliminating willy-nilly trading, my consistency is improving. I've significantly reduced those blow-up days. It's like I have an unfair advantage in the market. My losses are smaller and more controlled. A losing day now is just part of the plan. It's not a devastating event, and it doesn't make me question if I'm even worthy as a trader. This is keeping me in the game, and it's keeping me confident. By no means am I perfect. I'm always learning, but the progress is becoming evident. Over the last few months, I've hit some personal best wins. I'm getting my PTP better on point. I'm keeping my worst loss days limited. The transformation is feeling real. It's something you can achieve too by addressing your behaviors and your emotions. So my journey shows that even if you start as a willy-nilly impulsive trader, you can become a structured, confident trader. Doesn't happen overnight, but step by step you'll improve. Success in trading doesn't come just from strategies, but knowing and mastering yourself.
Amen.
So structure is learned, discipline is earned, and when you have both, trading becomes fun. So the core idea in tonight is find the right spots and add your trades there. Don't react to a trade before it actually gives you your confirmation. Look at your steps, because structure gives you freedom. Freedom of fear from chaos, and ultimately freedom to achieve your trading goals. So the last slide I have for you is some homework challenge. Your 90-day calm execution plan. Based on your trades, what habit would you stop doing right now? So I challenge you, identify 3 examples per week where the market behavior shifts unexpectedly, signaling a potential change in trend or momentum. Document the setup and your observations and what you're feeling. Break of structure. Find 3 examples per week where the market decisively breaks a KPI, major support, trend line, and analyze what happens and how you traded it. And overanalysis hesitation. Record 1 example per week of a trade you overanalyzed, hesitated on, or added a bad PTP. Reflect on your triggers, emotions, and what would you do differently? It's kind of looking back so you can go forward, right? So that's the homework challenge. I want to thank you all for being here. Happy trading. I hope this helps.
Fantastic.
I
I
let
really
me just ask.
like your presentation, Spicy Nick. That's really great. Um I've come to on the market character, market structure, definitions. I I'd like to share what I've come to recognize and implement in my trading. Uh, is that there's actually 3 levels: market structure, market conditions, and market character. And
Nice.
and I don't want to take away from yours because yours is right, and it's perfect to what David is teaching. But the way I differentiate market character and market conditions is the character applies to the candle formation and what the candles are doing. The condition applies to what the movement in the zone is doing that you're in. and the
Nice. Okay.
structure, of course. For me, it falls down to I do market structure because I'm a scalper on the 15, but I look at the 5 and the 1 for the character and the conditions. And I and the conditions actually come down to the 1 also because I trade the 1 primarily like David does because David's my mentor. Without him, I would never even gotten here. So,
Right. We all can say that.
but
Um,
does that is that clear, the differentiation? The
yeah, I
one,
think so.
one
So,
candle really kind of like the wicks and the body, the real bodies, and they kind of show up a character if they repeat. That's kind of your market character at that point. But overall, they're in that zone. What that zone does actually creates a different condition. And you can have, wicks, small candles, big candles.
it's not going to it's going to let me make that picture bigger. But yeah, I think I understand. And maybe I confused those. So market
No,
character
no,
and
you didn't confuse
conditions.
anything. No, that's an excellent presentation. I'm not,
No, thank you.
not,
That's awesome. No, I'm not taking as a, oh, I did something wrong. It's like, oh, maybe I missed something here. So I'm seeing for you, you say a character applies to how the candles are forming. So
right.
like lots of wicks,
You
how
get,
fat, quick or slow they are.
yeah, the condition would be like take a small section of that triangle you just put in the middle of the bigger triangle. You got these small candles. That's a character right there.
Right.
Your condition is that you're in the middle of your zone and you're not going anywhere. And then all
I
of a
just,
sudden you get this movement
mhm.
out of your structure. If that was
And
a 15 minute, if this is a 15-minute chart, this would be your character or your condition, and this would be the character of your candles. So that when you get an impulse move, that changes the character. An impulse move changes the character from small candles to extremely large candles to the candles that beside it. See, this zone is one character, but this zone is another. And then when you break structure, you're doing this. You got two price cycles there. So
no, thank you for
that's
bringing
just
that
the
up.
way I look at it.
Yeah, and that was the learning I had because I was expecting this movement to continue. And then when we got into here, when we started trading, this is where it became pretty evident to Dave that, we can get a nickel in here. And this is the character of the market. And the one thing I forgot to explain is, we were up near a resistance on the longer term time frame. So character tends to change. My understanding is in between, the moves between the 0, the 50, and 100, there can be a market change in these areas. And so recognizing that we were here, um, I was waiting for the larger moves. And what instead happened is we recognized, well, if I add the correct amount of trades, I can get my nickels in here. And also keeping in mind the 0, 1, 2, 3s. If I did them correctly, I would have said, this is okay to add on. This is a 1. Let's add some trades to get it to come down here. So the character of the market was here. And then when it broke above, we had our change. So something I'm still working on, but I'm just happy that I recognized near these areas, there can be what we call a change of conditions, is what you were saying, a change of
Right.
conditions of the
Your
market.
character is my conditions, and
Yeah.
my character is what is the display of the candles right now? They're small with big wicks. Are they, you know, uh, big going up and down, doing piano bars and things of that nature, and then over that zone, that's the conditions of what's going on. So that's just for me. That's what I had to do to kind of figure out, okay, what's the market doing and how do I look at this? Do I trade it or do I go to bed? Wait till
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Always go to bed.
Always
That's
go
the
to
Yeah.
bed.
answer. If the answer is trade or go to bed, go to bed.
Yeah. Thank you, David. See, you are my mentor. Well,
Spicy
thank you,
Nick.
Nick. Very excellent. Excellent.
Yeah,
Very
excellent.
well done.
Absolutely.
Wow.
I just want to
Thank
make
you.
a comment here really quick, Spicy Nick, that you have of all the hot seaters that I've been able to um trade with, um, I've really come to appreciate and find value in your journey as well as others. But one of the things that I think that is separating you from everybody else is that your willingness to be vulnerable. And we've seen some massive vulnerabilities in you just this year alone, from wondering if from questioning your confidence to tonight being put together, speaking from a place of authority and speaking with confidence. This is the first time that I've seen you present with such an authoritarian um, voice, where in the past you have given presentations where you've had felt the need to justify, well, I'm still learning, so take it from me, or I don't really know what I'm saying, but I'm going to say it anyways. But tonight there was none of that. It was completely confidence. You knew exactly what you're talking about. You spelled it out for us, and I got caught in the story. I mean, you were great. You're a great presenter. You're a great story. I'm also got caught um, in your journey. I'm wrapped up in your journey. I really, really want to see what Spicy Nick does next, right? And so I just want to say I'm very thankful for allowing me to be part of that journey that you're on, and your skill set hasn't changed as much as your psychology has. And that to me is awesome, right? I've always known you've had the skills, and you've started to master that confidence level. And I'm just going to ask this question. I put you on the spot here really quick, but what was it? What do you think was the catalyst of change? Because I know that so what do you think, if there's anything that maybe you can lean on, or maybe even share some advice to people that are struggling there too? What do you think was the catalyst of that change?
That's a great question. No, I appreciate everything you said. I'm really happy to be here on the journey too, but I'm trying to think of how to answer that question. And honestly, if I had to be really vulnerable, it's knowing that we're worthy. We're worthy to be here.
I love that answer.
And man, this is tough, getting emotional, but we're worthy to be here. We're here, we're part of this community. We have all the opportunity here to learn and to grow. And when I gave myself permission to really start watching the recordings over and say, hey, I got this. I can learn this.
Mhm.
And really do my homework, just knowing that I'm worthy to be here. That made the change. So um, I wish I could give a blueprint on that. I think it just comes from take it from me, like we're worthy to be here. We're worthy to be good traders. There's a lot of money out there in the market that we can take advantage of. And I'm just so blessed to be a part of the community. And I just want to give back um, the best way I can.
I love that answer. Amen. Yeah, take us to church, brother.
Yeah. So I'm going to second the amen. And Nick, one thing that really stood out to me in your boot camp is how much in-depth interpersonal work you've done, and recognizing that you're ADHD and how that affects your trading, and being self-aware enough to be able to say, hey, I took this trade because I'm bored. I took this trade because I'm looking for the adrenaline rush. And I mean, I would echo what Dave said, that the big change I see in you is your psychology, and that your mechanics are changing because you're understanding yourself, and you're understanding what motivates you to take a trade, and you're you're able to like rein that in and say, no, I'm not going to take a trade just because I'm bored. And I love that you're keeping track of, okay, how was I feeling when I took this trade? Because I think that's so huge. And I I'm going to get teary as well. You are absolutely worthy to be here, and you contribute so much to this community. And I think so many of us struggle, like you have, with feeling that we're worthy. And self-sabotage is real. Like it's a big thing. And in 1999, my ex-husband and I took $10,000 to $630,000 in 7 months' time. And our total holdings were over $1 million.
Wow.
And we proceeded to lose it all.
Hmm.
And I think a lot of, yeah, I mean, I think a lot
I
of it,
just, I mean, I didn't mean to laugh. I just like the tone of Nick's. He's like, "Wow."
yeah, it's
I
like,
mean that,
wow,
but
oh,
that, yeah,
What
it's
you
like
hear and
that's,
what you see is what you get.
yeah.
yeah.
So,
And I think a lot of it for me, I don't know what my ex-husband's issues were. If I knew that, I'd probably still be married to him.
that's
But
the funny part.
yeah, that's the funny part. I think for me, I didn't think I was worthy of that much money. And
Mm,
I think there was a lot of self-sabotage that went
sure.
on. Um, both for both of us. And I'm able to recognize that. I don't think he's emotionally aware enough to recognize that. But to get to the point to say, I am worthy, I deserve to be here, you will stop sabotaging yourself when you can claim that. And yeah, so you've really encouraged me with your journey and especially with your introspection and looking at who you are as a person and how that impacts your trading. And I think all of us would do well to take that same journey. So thank you.
That was very kind.
Thank,
Thanks for sharing, Diane.
Yeah, thank
yeah,
you.
thanks, Sam. I appreciate that. One of the things that I just I know that you're again, your journey is awesome, but and this presentation was very, very good. And I love what William said. He's like, I'm learning a lot um, from these Wednesday night meetings. And so I appreciate it. And I appreciate it too, the time that you took you definitely took a good time and polished this up. So everybody was fed tonight for sure. We all ate. And if you came in hungry, well, you got fed. So
No, I
uh,
appreciate that.
But
I wasn't sure if I was gonna. We cover so much information in our trading mornings. It's hard to throw it all in there. There's just so many takeaways, but yeah, the big one is just we got this. We have to put in a bit of time and effort, but we got this, and it's just interesting to hear everybody saying, "Oh, we've seen a change, Spicy," because it's there's no change here. To me, I'm just me still, but you're noticing a change, and that's pretty powerful for me. Thank you for sharing.
uh,
yeah, it's not
think
a change in your it's not a change in your structure, it's a change in your character.
Yeah.
See what I did there?
yeah, you said
Go,
two things here in your presentation. One of them I don't remember, but the I'll tell you. So you probably give you some kind of hint so you could remind me. But the one you said how you are feeling when you enter a trade. And that is something I observe with myself
Awesome.
where I'm feeling and if there's no fear, any kind of fear or doubt, I realize I am profitable. But if I am trading fearfully, then I realize that I make a lot of error. And you said something about not because there's a setup, there is something. I don't remember exactly. But you're saying not because there's a setup coming, it's not the time to enter. I think that's what you said in one of them.
Yeah, I think it was just coming to terms with when I get bored, it's the worst thing in the world for me.
Mm,
Um, And I think a lot of people are like that too, but especially with my brain, the way it works is boredom is like the worst thing in the world. I will overwork myself with tons of books and tons of courses and stuff just because I don't want to feel that feeling. And I recognize that I get that way with trading. And that was why I brought it up tonight, because I may not be the only one out there. So if you struggle with your entries, it could be because you're bored and you want some kind of thrill-seeking behavior or get that dopamine hit, which is all good and fine. But for me, it's really taking a second to just go, what is my price cycle here? If I enter a trade, where is my first nickel? And I need two or three confirmations. Like we've talked about it for years now, but I just, because I didn't feel worthy, I'm like, well, I'll just, I'll figure it out. And now I'm really trying to force myself to say, hey, you may be impulsive here. Look at your pieces of evidence, draw it out, and wait for when it makes sense, I guess is the best way I could put it. So I don't know if that answers it, Cliff, but I'm glad you picked up on that because it could be a dopamine hit trying to just place a trade on.
Now, it's kind of close to it, but you said something like if there is a setup, it doesn't mean you're to enter as yet. I think
Oh,
that's what you were saying.
yeah, I think it was just saying like instead of just, in that example, entering that buy just because I saw it tick up. Actually, let's play this again because it's kind of small. Uh, so placing the buy here, it's only one trade, but there was no confirmation that it was actually going up. So it's waiting for the right entry place and not just placing a trade because I'm bored. Does that is that
No,
kind of where I was talking about it?
no, you had passed this.
Oh, I did, eh?
Yeah, you said, I think you're saying that Dave said to you, not because there is a setup, it means that there's time to go, something like that. But I guess
Oh,
I'll watch it again.
yeah. No, I think I get it. It's just because I can see a setup happening doesn't mean that it's the right place to take it.
Yeah, I think something like that. Yeah, it's something.
Yeah. Yeah, it's waiting for the confirmation and the pieces of evidence. And that's why I look at this trade here, because there wasn't really a reason to enter there. I could have waited for, if this was not an OSR, I could have waited for a better confirmation and a pullback, or maybe I see this as, it might be a good time to enter a sell down because of risk versus reward. But just because I see a setup doesn't mean I have to take a trade right here and then. I want to make sure I follow my rules.
Yeah.
So
You said something that sorry, you said something that I was gonna write it down, I didn't, I missed it, but it was really, really good statement, and I wanted to steal it from you. You said something like structure is learned
Oh,
and something else is. Do you know what I'm talking about? It was
yeah, yeah,
really,
I know where it is.
I really
It's
thought it
the
was
last
really
slide.
good. I
So,
was gonna write it down. I didn't write it down.
structure
Th
is
that's it.
learned, discipline is
Discipline is
earned.
earned. I love that. That stood out to me quite a bit, and I love that actually. I love that a lot. And it's so true in trading, right? It's like that is like so true. Like you can teach structure, but you can't teach discipline,
Yeah,
right?
it's nice to
And
do that.
I think discipline is the psychological edge that every trader needs to have in order to be consistent, right? Watching structure, recognizing structure, that's repetition. Discipline is psychology. So I love that. It really stood out to me quite a bit. Dan, what were you gonna say?
yeah, so Nick, you talked about believing or not believing that you're worthy to now believing that you are worthy. So what happened that you were able to change your mindset in that regard?
Yeah, good
Good
question.
question.
I th Echo.
Jinx, you owe me a Coke.
Uh, I don't know if it's my impulsivity, but I kind of had to see everything for a while. I don't know if anybody can relate to this, but I had to see everything. So I mean, I watched a video from 2023, and Dave, you're saying the exact same stuff you're saying today. And I didn't want to believe it because I was like, there's no way we covered this
Yeah.
3 years ago.
Yeah,
And
it's
it's
true.
true.
I know.
Like,
It's
I
true.
don't want to believe it either. I have to say
It's
it
true. It's
for
true.
over and over and over for you to
True.
understand it.
It's true. I look back on some of the trades that I took and I said, damn, this is what they were saying." Yeah, that was kind of nearly willy-nilly. I was looking at some of the trades over the weekend and I said, damn.
yeah, because it was, I can't remember who was in the hot seat, but it was somebody we haven't seen in a while in the community. And you were talking the same setups with her. And I'm like, how did I miss this? And how I gained the thought of I'm worthy, I had to go through a little bit of therapy to say, why do I have such a bad memory? I feel like I come into the seats every day and I don't really remember everything we talked about. And then, I had a great person I talked to, and she was just like, it makes sense why you're a little bit impatient, and told me to go get tested for ADHD.
Hmm.
And then I learned, because of that, because I am worthy and we do deserve to be here, something personal to me, I was able to say, okay, if there's absolutely nothing wrong with me, then why am I not following the rules? Because before I could kind of blame it on something else, but if there's nothing to blame it on, if I'm okay the way I am, then why am I not following the rules? And sometimes it's I didn't learn it. It's okay. It's okay. I didn't learn it. We'll go back to that. I'll get in some more hot seats, and Dave's been gracious with his time. So um, that was kind of the turning point, was just saying, hey, sit down, discipline is earned, go through the recordings and start me, why did I enter there? Why did I do this? And going through my emotions to say, I felt I was nervous there. Why? Um, oh, because I was really heavy. I think that it's a self-reflection that helps. Yeah.
So
Are you implying that we all go test it?
Yeah.
now that you realize that you're worthy in trading, has that spilled over to other parts of your life where you now feel that you're worthy where you didn't beforehand?
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
he's engaged now.
I was
Yeah.
about to ask, is that why you're now engaged?
Yeah. Yeah. It allows me to set boundaries better and just kind of I can recognize I need to kick myself in the butt and say, okay, find a booster, find like a monster drink for Dave or a coffee for me or
Mm.
find a booster, go for a walk and then get my head on straight. Like even making this presentation, holy man, it took me a while because I was, come on, we got to do this, and I have my timers and various things that I'm using. So now that I'm worthy, it kind of is like, okay, there's no more excuses. Like get into it. That's the best way I can describe it.
Well, I can honestly say that I think that we all have benefited from your presentation tonight. So I really appreciate it. And so I thank you for spending the time, even though it does take a lot of time. Thank you for, and we appreciate it. And in the words of Wayne and Garth, we're not worthy.
No, we're all worthy.
We're not worthy. We're not worthy. But I appreciate it. And I am definitely going to take this one, cut it up, and throw it out there on the channel so that other people can benefit from it too. It's too good to not share. So thank you. And
Absolutely.
everybody who missed it, you guys gotta talk about it tomorrow in trading. So everybody tell them. Somebody did ask, I think it was Joseph, if you would mind sharing the slides, that would be awesome. So maybe you can
Yep.
kick that to trade talk and
Yep.
let
I
them
can do that.
on
I'll put
Discord.
them on there right away.
So appreciate you, Nick. Appreciate everybody else for showing up, and we'll see you guys bright and ugly tomorrow morning. So thank you
Thanks,
guys.
everyone. See ya.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Good night.
Bye.